Welcome, everyone. It's the November 16th, 2015 meeting of the Board of Selectmen. At the outset of every meeting, I'd like to announce that the meeting's being recorded and transmitted via cable television. And we start off every meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, so please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on the agenda tonight, we have the interviews for the Veteran Service Officer.
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Yeah.
Maybe before we start, in light of what happened in Paris a few days ago, we should maybe bow our heads in a moment of silence for the tragedy that happened in Paris to many people.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry for interrupting.
Like I was starting to say, we have the interviews tonight for the Veteran Service Officer. As we all know, Jason Kimball is stepping down as a current Veteran Service Officer. I do want to thank him for his service. I also want to thank him for the Veterans Day we had last Wednesday. We had a wonderful time at the meeting house on the Common. We had a very sizable crowd show up on a pretty drizzly day, so it was nice. We packed them in there on the first floor, and we had a pretty nice outing. And I'd like to thank the veterans that showed up and all the people that put that together. So, and of course all the people that came to participate and see it. So thanks for that. Tonight we're going to do interviews. We have 5 gentlemen that have come forward for the Veteran Service Office position, and it's not going to be an in-depth interview. We've got your resumes. What I'd like to do is call you up one at a time, come up to the podium, introduce yourself, just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in this job. The first I'd like to bring up is Bruce Siegel. Bruce? And before you start, Bruce, I just want to say to all of the veteran service candidates, thank you very much for your service in the past, and it's much appreciated for both things you do for the town and for the United States, so thank you. Bruce.
Thank you, Phil. I, too, would like to thank Jason Kimball for all the work he's done as the Veteran Services Officer in the town. And I've worked several years with the Veteran Services Officers that have been in office during that time, but I felt, I'm sorry, let me introduce myself. Bruce Siegel. I live at 5 Lills Way in Linfield. I've lived in Linfield for 18 years. And several reasons why I was interested in this position. Let me start with my professional experience. I have many years, 21 years as an auditor with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I've also worked as an accountant prior to that. So based on that, I've developed the ability to understand laws and regulations and to ensure there's consistency in compliance and transparency. As I said, I've been active in the town of Linfield as a veteran for many years. I served the last several years as the Memorial Day Parade Marshal. I've also worked with Jason in a couple of other situations. And I think the fact that I've worked with Jason and we're so familiar with each other, the transition would be a very smooth one. I've also served as the chairman of the Board of Commissioners at the Linfield Housing Authority, and I currently serve on the Board of Directors for life. I have retired this past July 1st, and I think that would allow me the time to devote to this position. In addition, I'm also a licensed notary public. I'm very proud to be a Navy veteran, and I'm passionate about this position. The sacrifices our veterans have made should not be forgotten. I would welcome the opportunity to assist the veterans of Linfield. Thank you, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate it. I appreciate you coming forward, too. This is, we tend to have different positions open up, and it's feast or famine sometimes. Mm-hmm. This is certainly quite a group that we have to look at, so I thank everybody that's come forward, but thank you. I don't have any questions. I know you've done other things in town. I've gotten to know you over the years. Of my board members, any questions for Bruce?
Thank you for serving, Bruce.
You're welcome.
And thank you for being the Grand Marshal and the Marshal of the Veterans Day Parade and the Memorial Day Parades. Was kept everybody in line, and you did a great job.
I enjoyed it. I
Thank you.
enjoyed it very much.
First, I'd just like to thank you for your service. I know we worked closely on a number of issues in Linfield, and I appreciate certainly your service to a great nation and the town of Linfield. And I gotta agree with Mr. Crawford about the amount of candidates we've had step forward. Usually it's difficult to get candidates, though of late we've got a lot of great resumes for a number of positions in town. So, and this is just another vacancy that I've seen a number of tremendous people step forward. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bruce. And next we have retired Colonel Joseph Connell. Joe, is it Connell or Connell?
Cornell, yep,
Yeah,
thank
Connell.
you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, first of all, for letting me come in and interview for this position here. It would be a great honor. I retired a year ago. I'm now the Senior Operations Officer for State Street Bank Security since I've since retired. I had a great career, 29 years, loved it. When I retired, I really didn't want to, I knew I wanted to volunteer to do something, wasn't sure what it was. And when this opened up, this was really kind of right up my alley of giving back to really now from outside, looking back into veterans who are now serving, but also the survivors and their family members. I was very fortunate since I retired that I became very close friends with three kind of key people. Tom Lyons of Boston, as you know, who sits on the Veterans War Memorial Commission, but he's also appointed by the governor for the Veterans Advisory Council. He lives in Wakefield, and I've spoken to him quite a bit. And also Jack Hammond, when I was the senior Army advisor here for the state, Jack Hammond was the chief of staff. He's now the executive director for the home base program, which works in conjunction with both the Boston Red Sox and Mass General Hospital on a host of issues for veterans. And finally, a very good friend that I've met now, that Eric Pantalone, he was the guy who really transitioned me out of the Army and took me through the process, and he and I have been great friends since. I've contacted all three probably in the last 3 weeks and asked them, would this be a good fit for me? Could you help me along the way with all the great knowledge you have and kind of mentor me along the way and get me where I need to be? And they've all said yes, just let us know what you need to do. I love this town. It took me 2 years to find a home here. It's very difficult to find a home in Linfield, and I live just down the street on Main Street. My two kids are younger. My daughter's now in middle school. My son goes to Summer Street School, which they're having a great time. I've coached some sports here already 3 times as a soccer coach, but now we'll take on lacrosse in the springtime, which is not making my son very happy because I'll be coaching him. But that's what this town's all about, Linfield. People coming forward and stepping up and doing those things, and it would just be great honor, and I do appreciate that I came to meet all of you today. I know that you all have my resume. It would just be a great honor to go back and serve those people who have served in Linfield and take care of them and their families. So,
Well, Joe, I appreciate it, and thank you. Again, you have a very extensive history and very impressive resume. Again, thank you for all the service you've done to the country. I was curious if all this time and work you've had serving the country and in charge of all these men got you prepared to coach youth soccer in Linfield, because sometimes that can be more challenging than
it's
than
funny.
people
A
know.
lot of my friends who are still on active duty said, "What happened? You fell off the place. You fell off the planet." And I said, "Hey, listen, I'm behind a white picket fence now, and I'm coaching. This is what I wanted to do." So it was a great break. It really was. The last couple of jobs I have was, being the chief of staff for the commander of Afghanistan was a pretty difficult year as far as length. So when I retired, and that's what it was all about. And so again, this job was just it's almost a perfect fit for me going back. I know it's not a full-time job. It works fits perfectly with what I'm currently doing right now, and I'll still continue on coaching and do whatever I need to do for Linfield to make it a better town that I can whatever I can do. So.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, and I appreciate it. Any questions from my board members?
Joe, I want to thank you for your tremendous service to the country. What you've gone through is just phenomenal. I was really taken aback. I read your resume 3 times because there was always something I was missing. It's so extensive, and I don't think I ever met someone who has done everything that you've done. It's just
Yeah.
phenomenal. And thank you very much
Yeah, thanks.
for doing what you did. It's people like you that make America great.
I appreciate that.
But, you know, as Selectman Crawford said, be prepared for the youth lacrosse.
Yeah.
They have sticks.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, yeah.
But I think your resume really speaks extremely loud for you. Operational management, process development and improvement, leadership, and the beat goes on. So I'm just thrilled that you applied for this position.
I appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you.
I just have to concur with both my fellow selectmen on this. I mean, your resume is absolutely impressive. I appreciate, obviously, your most recent work with the war on terror.
Yeah.
And I agree with Selectman Terranova. I had to read it a couple of times because I was so impressed with the depth of the service of recent you've had. So I appreciate your service. And of all the people I'm going to talk to today, I can't thank you enough. I mean, you're the reason we're the country we are today.
Great.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Jason Freshman. Dr. Jason Freshman. How are you, sir?
Good evening. Usually I'm on the other side of interviewing people. This is a rarity. Jason Freshman. I've been a resident of Linfield for 38 years, up in the Grants, and practicing dentist for almost 45 years. And I was at, when I went into dental school, 1964, I signed up to go into the Army because I have a younger brother, and I knew Vietnam was not going away. So they tried to promise me I'd stay in the country and give me a choice of base. And so they sent me to Fort Hood, but I was there for 2 years, from 68 to 70. And then when I got back, I spent weekends working on the dependents of the service fellows at Fort Devens. And I was in about, I think, 11 years total. The Army owned me. I saw things a little differently. My organization work is all to do with dentistry and really not much to do with the Army. But coming in, you know, as a captain in the service and working on the soldiers, the 18-year-old kids, and just feeling bad for them, you know, when you're down at Fort Hood, it's 115 degrees outside, and you're in an air-conditioned room, and they have backpacks on them. You know, you sort of get a sense of what they go through. And that sort of followed me through. My only real contact is charities I've gone to. Ted Lyons, I know him pretty well, and I've gone to some of his charity events. I went to, about 2 weeks ago, there was a VA rep down at the senior center, and I went down, and there were about 12 men that showed up, one from World War II, the others, I assume, Korea or Nam, or I said to my wife, there didn't seem to be anyone there from the Middle East. She said they're young enough to still work and they can't afford to go out at night. So my whole focus is to try to help these vets that really have disabilities, that really don't know where they're going, get the same answers I get, depends where you go. If you don't get the right answer, you walk out the building with no benefits, not knowing anyone, and there's no one to turn to. Do I have any knowledge to help the vets personally? No, but I know how to build up where I would know people to call and to get answers, to fill out forms. And the questions of all these 12 men, it's like they came with all the notebooks and everything else, and I'm going, my word, they've been doing this, you know, with disabilities, and there's no one out there to really help them. And there's no communication between the communities. Every town has its own VA officer. And So, and I'm thinking they're talking about going down to, where is it? Not Devon's anymore, where they go to for their, you know, whatever. You know, to tell people 70, 75, 80 years old to go into this base and find their way and walk a mile or two. I mean, there were so many things we could do in Linfield to help these people. And, you know, I thought some of the money I saw, you know, the money that will be paid to the person. If the town doesn't, I would spend the money to get a small bus once every couple of months and take these guys down. They don't go because they're not getting in a car and driving wherever you're driving to. And then going through a complex, if you've been to an Army base, they can be pretty intimidating. So I'm just thinking of the soldiers that really need personal help. Just filling out a form. There were 10 people in that room, even the VA guy. He's 38 years old. He's been doing it for 10, 15 years. Just to fill a form out isn't easy. And you want to have the right answers to fill the form out, too. So you get what you can, sort of like studying for a test. So I just thought, you know, if I could help in some way the real vets who really need help. And there are so many things this town could really do to foster that. I thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Freshman.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Stephen Patton. Steve, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, attendees, Madam Secretary. I brought a copy of my DD 214 and a copy of my diploma from JAG School at the
Great,
U.S.
thank you. You have to submit it to Bob there, yeah.
It's humbling to stand among my peers, certainly. I think that I could help the people of Linfield. I grew up down the street. I grew up in West Peabody, and I live there now. When I got out of the military, I chose to come back home. I live in the Burke School District. I live there with my wife and a 15-month-old daughter, Allison. I feel that what I got from the military, I could use to help the people in Linfield. And essentially, as a JAG officer, upon graduation from the JAG school in Charlottesville, Virginia, I was assigned to Fort Bragg. And after a couple of months, they made me the chief of legal assistance at Fort Bragg. And essentially, that entailed helping write wills for soldiers, unfortunately, many of the deploying soldiers. It also involved family law on the installation. Involved landlord-tenant issues for the soldiers, consumer protection, identity theft, things of that nature. Following that, I got deployed to Afghanistan for my first deployment, where I did legal assistance again. I also did rule of law in that deployment. Came back to Fort Bragg and served as a military prosecutor, and then deployed again. And I currently work as the prosecutor for the Essex County DA's office. And what I think that the reason, I think, you know, the people of Linfield, I'm kind of an outsider coming from West Peabody, and I want them to know why I want to do this. So for the people here, people at home, in Afghanistan, I lost 52 of my friends in 18 months. And coming home, I decided I wanted to give back, and I wanted to really live by carpe diem, you know, make every day count. And I feel that, like all of my peers tonight, I love veterans and I want to serve veterans. But I think that I could use what the military taught me to sort of give 110% at all times to the people of Linfield, to the veterans of Linfield, not only in the the services that veterans need. I've had the opportunity to review your numbers from last year. They're published online. Your Veterans Service Officer did a great job of that. But also on the holidays, such as a Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Just major important holidays to make the veterans of this town understand that they'll never be forgotten, that they're loved. And I'm sure that that happens every year here. And I just really want to continue that tradition and do my very best for you. So that's about all I have to say.
Great. Well, thank you. Again, you've got a extensive, very impressive resume. Appreciate it, and all you've done for the country. It's very, like I said, very impressive. It really speaks for itself. My fellow selectmen, any comments or questions?
Just want to thank you for your service, and sorry for the losses of all your friends. But I'm sure you're going to continue doing great work to help spouses and families of veterans and whoever you can. But thank you very much for your service.
Thank you,
We
gentlemen.
want to thank you for your service. You certainly can be confident every day has counted with your service, and how you've dedicated yourself in the past, and you're looking to continue to dedicate yourself, certainly in public service right now. So thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great.
Appreciate
Nice, Stephen, thank you. Jerry Schulman. Welcome, Jerry. Introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your history and why you'd like to
Yeah.
be the Veterans Agent.
My name is Jerry Schulman. I live at 3 Saunders Road, and I've been a resident of Linfield for 40 years. I applied for this position 2 years ago, but Jason helped me a lot, and I thank him very much for all the guidance that he gave me. Basically, you have. When I went in the Army, I was in ROTC, and I was stationed at Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri, and then I went. Then I was in country after that, in Nam, and I, especially what's going on in Paris now, I don't want to relate, what I saw. The Colonel knows very well, better than me. But what we did is when you see children walk in to headquarters without arms and legs, and the parents don't want them because they can't work in the fields, we established what was called north of Dusseldorf, a peace camp to rehabilitate them. And a German minister ran it, and we left it up to the kids if they wanted to come back to their parents or not. Sometimes they didn't want to, but our boys adopted them, many of them, and brought them back to this country. I just want to tell you a few things about what I have done. Since my retirement, and I have plenty of time, I would work on this 24/7. I know I'm in other things in town, but I was chaplain of Lieutenant Carl Stein Post of Jewish War Veterans for over 20 years in Everett. We merged with the Malden Post Jewish War Veterans number 74. I'm a member now. I was involved in organizing, because a lot of this is working with veterans and organizing events. Classmates Today, Neighbors Tomorrow program in Peabody and Everett, the Veterans Lodges, where we gave scholarships to deserving students in the high schools. I would talk to different people and see to it that a scholarship was awarded at Linfield High School by the Jewish War Veterans. When 9/11 came, this was a long time ago in Everett. I worked with Bishop Robert Brown. We had 3 days to organize the service in the Immaculate Conception Church in Everett. We had over 1,000 people in attendance, veterans too, and we had to have speakers there. And I delivered a sermon there. I was one of them with Bishop Brown who delivered a sermon. I'm very familiar with Mass General Laws, Chapter 115, which is veterans benefits, as well as other statutes that give veterans benefits. And I have letters of commendation here. I don't want to start reading them to you. For the past 2 years, I'm going to Bedford VA and volunteering and working there. So I've helped with veterans from the Second World War, Korea, Vietnam, who lost arms and legs, and helped them to fill out forms and to do different things. Take them into the day room, take them into the mess hall, things like that. I understand from my working with, I've worked with a lot of people who are active in the Veterans Organization. There are 665 veterans in Linfield, according to the State Department of Veterans Affairs, Brian Anderson. I think a lot more could be done at Linfield if the effort was made. I've never seen anything in the newspaper about helping veterans to gain employment, and I've been involved in that, and also more especially for health benefits. I have worked in Bedford with Colonel Stephen Fernandez. He's retired now, very close friend of mine. Matter of fact, he helped me with my resume, I'll be honest with you. Michael DeGeris, Department of Veterans Affairs in Bedford. Warren Feller, Department of Veterans Affairs in Bedford. Robbie Bell and Nelson Vasquez, who they run the Military Order of the Purple Heart in the JFK building in Boston, the 15th floor, with Cheryl Bible, yes, a woman, Department of Veterans Affairs in Bedford. Joseph Hickey, who gave me a resume 2 years ago, he's the Director of Veterans Affairs in Everett. And he also helped us with the 9/11 ceremony in the Immaculate Conception Church many years ago. I am in constant contact with these people, especially with Brian Andrews, who's now the Veterans Representative in Woburn and in Gardner, Mass. I am familiar with e-benefits, which are electronic benefits to speed things up for veterans. Also, I have worked with not just General Laws Chapter 115, Veteran Benefits, with the Code of Federal Regulations, and that has to do with pensions, survivors' benefits. Also, many veterans don't have the money for proper burial. We should have a cemetery for veterans, and we can get funding from the state too. I've worked in that in Bedford and in the Hanscom. Okay, I just want to read a couple of more things here. E-Benefits provides electronic resources and a self-environment to service members, veterans, and their families. And I have a letter here from Dr. Catherine O'Malley in Bedford. Dear Gerald Schuman, thank you for participating in the Million Veteran Program. By participating, you have joined the many veterans who have already volunteered to help in the mission to improve health care for veterans and their families. When I go to Bedford or I go to Hanscom, I worked with, as I said, I worked with Lieutenant Colonel Steve Fernandez there. Everyone calls me brother. And I just have such a wonderful feeling when I go in there and I work with veterans from all these wards. So I want to do something for veterans in the town of Linfield. I will work very hard. I just won't work 2 days a week. I'll be available 24/7, and I'll give out my cell phone also. I have also, on another note, I think we should have Special Olympics here in Linfield, especially with the beautiful new fields that we have. I'm willing to work on that, which I realize is probably irrelevant as far as this is concerned. So now that I have the time, I know I'm on a couple of other things. I'm Vice Chairperson of the Housing Authority, and unfortunately Chairman of the Expansion Committee. Just joking. So I'll be there. And also I was just appointed to the Personnel Board, but I have the time, you know what I mean? My schedule is flexible now. So thank you very much for inviting me, and I really am very upset as you are about what's going on in Paris. And we have to do something about it, really. I'm old now, but really I feel like putting on my uniform and going over there and cleaning them up, and I give a lot of credit to the President of France for what he's done, really. This is a very, very serious matter, and even in our town, we have to be careful. Okay? Thank you very much.
All agree. Jerry, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, like I mentioned at the beginning, we have a We have a group of 5 that are very impressive, have extensive resumes, and I think it would be best if we put this on our agenda for the 7th. It will give us some time to go over everything in depth again. We've only had this for a couple of days, so we would like to go over this, and then on the 7th, we'll vote on the board here for our final selection. So I appreciate everyone for coming tonight, and I thank you for your interviews, and thank you for all your input. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Amazing candidates. Yeah. Next, we have our Ready Municipal Light Department update with Colleen O'Brien.
Hi.
Hi. That doesn't look like Colleen O'Brien.
No.
Yeah. There's Colleen.
Is that good enough, or do we need all the lights off? Thank you.
It's like film time in school.
Hi, Colleen. Welcome.
Good evening.
I think this became dislodged. I think that's why we're not. Does it? I don't think yours has. Do you have?
Oh, there you go. Just
I don't think you have. I don't think you have the
connection.
holes to screw it into. Do you?
No.
I think it just has to sit there.
Let me just do it again. Okay. There you go.
That looks right.
Page up and down.
Okay, thanks. Well, good evening. Thanks for having us. With me, I have Hamid Jafari, Director of Engineering and Operations, and Jane Parento. She's our Integrated Resources Division Manager. So, as you can see up here, our peak performance is the cover of our annual report. We just gave this annual report to the town of Reading last week. And the picture and the entire report was done in-house. The picture was done by Raul, who's one of our integrated resource engineers. Little paint put on there by one of my kids in high school. And then the whole entire report was done in-house. So it saved about almost close to 10,000. So we're really keeping with our motto last year of the be efficient, get greener, and go paperless. So as promised, we're doing our biannual update. So we have some topics, and certainly anything that you'd like to ask, we will be prepared for. I'm just going to start off. I'll go quickly with the slides and stuff. I just have a little this little speech to go with, so you'll know what that picture means. The path to the peak can be a combination of addressing hardened trails, rocky terrain, and vertical climbs. RMLD made great strides over the last year assessing its present position and plotting out its course to meet the challenges of the utility industry, present and future. A completion of the reliability study and the organizational study, the analysis of and the commitments to the recommendations have helped form a solid route. A quality electric utility must have the ability to be proactive in all of its disciplines of planning, including system function and operation, staffing, succession, and skill training. It must have the ability to be reactive through planned reaction procedures to unforeseen events, such as weather and power market volatility. It must be diligent in ensuring that their plans and strategies are reviewed at such a frequency to ensure that the utility stays aligned with the path to success. The RMLD staff has been working hard to review, develop, and implement all of the necessary actions to ensure a high level of quality. Any change or transitioning phase in a company on its path to the peak can be a bit overwhelming for some. For others, it can be exhilarating to be an integral asset to the charge to improve efficiencies, talent management, and implement best utility practices in both the financial, system function, and customer program areas. Through continued communication and leadership within the company, with our service towns, and with our customers, the end result will be peak performance. Regarding the stabilization of rates, peak performance means climbing a mountain to discover the peak and then shaving off the summit to a flat and stable surface. Peak energy prices have a premium. Together with our customers, RMLD has developed new programs that will help to shave the summit and stabilize rates. The electric utility industry is going through its own changes in transitioning. The impact of imminent capacity and transmission increases in the New England area, the move towards solar power and electric vehicles are just some of the changes which impact utilities. RMLD has worked and will continue to work diligently to proactively address any impact the changes bring. All right. So if anybody would like to see the annual report, and it's online. If you go to www.rmld.com, there's a red band that you click on it, and it says, here's our annual report. And essentially, and I had sent Jim a copy of this, it's basically a list of all of our accomplishments and reliability stats, and then the audited financials with no management letter. So that's online. The mission statement is RMLD is committed to providing excellent customer service, including competitively priced electricity as a result of diligence in the areas of power supply risk management, system reliability and flexibility, as well as overall business efficiency. Okay, so this is just a pared down, copy of the highlights from the annual report. Some of the major accomplishments that we did this year, as I stated in my little speech, was the comprehensive organizational study aimed at assessing organizational structure and skill sets and utility best practices. We also did a reliability study of the entire system aimed at assessing system safety, reliability, and capacity. And we did this in both a short-term and long-term. So Hamid and I, basically, when we came to work there, we did a reliability assessment in an organizational study, because that's what we both kind of do for, kind of the last many years. And then we hired a consultant to do a sounding board, and they pretty much lined up about 95%. For the reliability plan, all of the recommendations were anything that had to do with safety we took care of immediately. And everything else was laid out in a 5 to 20-year plan. As far as the organizational structure is concerned, we had some definite deficiencies, operating ratios, and financial things that we've made adjustments to. The skill sets, we've created career development plans for each and every employee that takes them into the future, because there really wasn't any succession planning or real efficiency in how the organizational structures were aligned. So we've also put those in immediate corrective actions and short and long term, up to 20 years as far as that is concerned as well. We created a grid modernization technology map, which I'll give you a peek of in a little bit. While they had somewhat of a GIS, we had to kind of overhaul it because the data had been lost. So right now, Davies Construction is out there, and we're collecting all of the data on each of the poles. We'll be able to put that on a GIS, overlay our engineering modeling systems, and start looking at the capacity. Right now, the only capacity deficiency we really see as a major problem is out in Wilmington. if you're familiar with where they're building the target area and stuff. And so in the long-term plan, we have a new substation going in that area. And that will also allow us to redistribute the feeders so that they're better aligned to meet in the summer peaking times. The AMI, we had, there was some new meters that were put in, and I think I mentioned last year that those meters were a fixed network, meaning as opposed to a mesh network, they don't really bounce or they don't recover. It's just line of sight. So for the 500 Club, which is our largest customers, Hamid designed a mesh network that overlays on top of the fixed network that will allow us a two-way communication channel with the meters, meaning we can get voltage, we can get power factor, we can get all the things that we need in order to be able to communicate with each of our large customers.
Colleen, can you just tell us what those mean? Yeah, can you
one?
just, so
AMI.
AMI and.
Okay, AMI is the advanced, GIS is your Geographic Information System. I'm sorry, so your AMI is your advanced meter infrastructure or automated meter infrastructure. RF, radio frequency, mesh networking. The mesh basically means it bounces, and you can use a number of, we're going to use the fiber loop, which we have that goes through all 4 towns. It's a much easier way to communicate and is much more flexible than the fixed network system. Developing peak reduction programs and technology. As I discussed in the cover and also in the speech, that peak time period every day, basically between 12 and 7, is premium costs. And those things are kind of homogenized into a basic rate. But if you go to a time of use rate, you can have a discount by basically changing creature habits to move your use of electricity off those peak times. But during that peak times, we are trying to work with a number of our customers through a number of different programs to send them signals to say, can you curtail your load? And then we share with them an incentive. So if 1 megawatt of savings saves about $60,000, we will share a portion of that, and then the rest goes back into our rate structure and goes back to all of our customers. So we're trying to work really hard on that. We're also looking at small little gas turbines that are 2 megawatts each, so that we press the button and the whole thing goes down 2 megawatts when the ISO calls and says it's peak time, really to try to get that point off, because it just goes up exponentially, the price, when you start to get up towards that summit. We can go through a couple of more of them. Maintaining the reliability indices. SAIDI, CAIDI, and SAFE is an industry measurement of the reliability, and we can go over that a little bit in a couple minutes. Perform the cost of service study. Unbundled the rates. We did an RCTV on showing how the rates are unbundled. So right now it kind of aligns with like an IOU, a national grid or whatever, so that you can see what is my power supply costing, what is my distribution costing. And we're doing that for a number of reasons. We want to be transparent, but also what I mentioned last year is because of capacity and transmission is going to go up pretty significantly starting next year. We're looking at about a 7 to 9% increase. Of that, about 2% is on the expense, but the rest is on power supply. Now, power supply represents about 75 to 80% of our entire budget. So for an $80-something million budget, 75 to 80% is power supply, and it's a pass-through. We don't make any money on that. And so a lot of these things where we're shaving the peak, that's what we're doing specifically just to get those prices down. So expenses are not creeping up too much, other than, you know, we're now doing the new maintenance programs and stuff like that. But so perform the cost of service study, unbundle the rates. We added a new low income rate and the LED streetlight rate. The LED streetlight and electric vehicle charging stations, we got grants on them. Internal external communications program, we developed a SharePoint, and we're developing dashboards right now. And as soon as we get all the dashboards up internally, we're going to change our website on externally, so you'll be able to see our dashboards and see what's going on. Paperless billing and the whole paperless objective has been, we've been doing really, really well on that. 6-year capital expense budgets. I think last year when I presented, we had implemented the 6 years, so that we're looking at the money constantly on a 6-year basis. So we can look at the capacity and transmission increases as they go out. And we can try to just keep trying to stabilize those rates the best that we can. And again, the full report is in the annual report. Further, excuse me, efficiency and peak reductions. I think I mentioned, so 75% is power supply, capacity, and transmission, 2016 and 17. And I believe capacity is going up 6% annually, or is that transmission? Transmission, 6% annually, and capacity is
It's increasing from $3 a kilowatt month to 15.
15.
So there's a 5-fold increase in capacity in the New England, Boston region. So we can't control where we're located, and because of constraints, it's affecting all of the utilities in this region, not only Reading.
And it's the FERC and the ISO that are mandating to, you know, bring more gas pipelines in and, you know, for the economy or whatever. But if you were to imagine like Ohio, like all of their power comes in like a wagon wheel, whereas right here it's one pipeline in. And so it's, as Jane said, the NEMA zone, Boston area is going to get hit the hardest with these transmission and capacity increases.
So is that going to translate into higher costs?
Yeah, so when we unbundled it, you have a capacity and transmission line item. Those
Mhm.
line items are going up.
Okay.
Because the FERC and the ISO are extending all of the capital expenditures to increase capacity to all of the customers. Excuse me. The LED pilot program was successful. We put in 300 lights, of which Linfield got 41. And so now we've rolled into the full implementation. For FY16 target, we're going to do 2,450 lights. And Linfield will be, we are right now at 141 out of a scheduled 290 for this fiscal year. Have we had any comments other than looks great? Feedback? Okay, good. We have an update on the savings, and as we go, we're keeping a list of the credits so that we can credit you back as we change out the high-pressure sodiums, whether they're 50s or 100s or whatever. So we have that tracking, and as soon as at the end of the year comes, we'll do a credit, and then we'll do the next year and do the credit. Once again, just the Department of Energy grants that we got. The LED lights was 250,000, 125,000 we used for the municipal lights in all 4 of our towns, and then 75 went to the commercial interior exterior LED lighting rebates, and then the rest went to residential. And we just kicked off a new online store, so if you need holiday lights, LED holiday lights, 50% off. Can I borrow one of those wires? I'm sorry. I have a tickle, but now I do. So you can go online on the online store, take a look at that. We just recently had a big open house, and we demonstrated a whole bunch of things there. We focused more on all of these programs and all of this peak shaving. You could have come and dunked me in the tank. They had a big tank, and of course all the linemen just couldn't wait to knock me in the water. We did have, because we got grants on charging stations, we've put 3 charging stations in at Analog. We had a number of, like Linfield, Nissan came, and we had BMWs, and we had a whole bunch of electric cars. And they're interesting to look at if you haven't seen them. I think if you're going to stay in the area, it's probably really good, but I was saying, well, what if I wanted to go visit my daughter in New Jersey? You'd have to find charging stations, and not all charging stations will be available, or do they charge in 5 hours, depending, you know what I mean? So if you're going to go in that direction, you really need to look into that. But, I mean, the cars last, 100 or something miles, but then you have to charge. So I think we tried to get a Tesla there because one of the girls that works there, her friend owned one, but he didn't show up. But we'll see. They're kind of leading the way in that. Didn't the police just pull over an automatic driving car the other day? Did anybody read that? Google. That's what it was.
Tesla has that option too.
There was nobody in the car, right?
Actually, with the Tesla, someone was there. They just weren't holding the wheel.
Oh, I see.
Who pays the
Didn't want to lose.
Wasn't in driving.
Well, It'll be good. I think it'll spell some safety in the future.
Will your company have adequate supply of electricity as more and more people buy electric vehicles?
Yeah, there's not really a problem with, capacity. We're trying to balance, right now we're working on a service requirements handbook. We're trying to balance solar and other things that affect, our business, as well as charging. I mean, if it became like everyone had one, would it shift your peak because everyone's charging at the same time? You know what I mean? So we're trying to keep track of that, and people, the engineers in Jane's group are taking classes on that and making sure that we stay up to speed. The solar, I mean, you can ride down the street, they're going in left and right. It's good for the customer, not so good for us, but I mean, we are doing community solar. I mean, we're probably gonna do one in Wilmington and then come to Linfield, and we're gonna offer one. And that has to do with our Green Choice program, so that instead of buying green that's somewhere else, it's in our service territory, and you'll be actually investing into one of the panels where you'll have ownership in one of the panels and you'll reap the benefits from that. So we're supporting it, but we also want to be the engineers that we are and make sure that the electric system stays stable, because you can't destabilize it. So there's a lot that goes into it in trying to make sure that it stays safe at the same time helping our customers. So a little more of the efficiency and peak measurements. The rebate structure is based on the peak reduction. We have a commercial initiative, the lighting rebate, the electric charging rebate program, the peak demand reduction. We're working with Tangent and those customers I was telling you about, curtailing their loads, residential appliance rebates, the online stores and residential audits. For commercial customers, I mean, we really, really do a tailored. We have engineers that are really good, and we meet with the customers, and we really, it's like almost having augmented engineers to help you. It's really a good deal. So we really want to help the commercials, and they can just give Jane a call or look online. But I'm very impressed with the programs that we have and the detail that we provide to our customers. Under the rate options, I mentioned quickly, if you have a controlled water heater, if you have a water heater and it's not being controlled, that's another way to save money. We still have a bunch of them in stock, and we're starting that program back up. So if you have one, give us a call.
It has to be an
Electric water heater. Time of use rates I mentioned a little bit earlier. Community solar, and we are studying the distribution generation, which is battery storage and the peaking unit, the 2 megawatt gas peaking unit that I spoke of. Economic development. I know from talking to Dave that that's probably not big in this town. I know you have a new store, and so we just, it's not our intention to drive anything. If you have an economic development committee like some of the other towns, we just like to be invited and just to be able to talk. For example, we were really beneficial in bringing OSRAM to Wilmington. So when we sat down and we were able to describe all of our programs and things like that, we were able to get them to pick there instead of 5 other locations that they were looking at. So we were pretty proud of that. So if you're looking for businesses, we're looking for businesses. If you're not, we can try to help your existing customers. We'll just go with the flow. But we do stay in business by feeding the golden egg, and we are your golden egg. So we just want to keep that in mind. But I know that economic development is not for everybody. Okay. This is basically one of our technology roadmaps. And it shows on the left-hand side your automatic meter infrastructure, fixed and mesh network. Down the bottom you have poles that have switches on them, and it's all communicating through the fiber node network and back to our new system that we're building. So once the GIS is done, we'll integrate it into the outage management system, the SCADA system, and our billing software. So for example, one of the things that we would typically do that's very simple is if you have a transformer out there and you're not quite sure how it's loaded. Well, when this is all integrated together, you can have a load management system, meaning you hit a button, everyone that's connected to that transformer during peak, you can see what the load is. You want to make sure that your transformer is not underloaded or overloaded, because that's how you're going to get the most life out of your transformer. So this is the type of two-way communication feedback, that's just one little small example, that we'll be using to make sure that our assets are managed properly. That two-way communication is, can help with telling people when we have power warnings, or during, to help during peak. It's endless. The controllers down the bottom will help to identify a fault, and switches will open and the power will come around and backfeed it, so that we're back in power quickly, and that way we can just dispatch the line guys to go in and take care of the isolated faulted area. So there's a whole bunch of things that we're trying to do. It's not a super smart grid, it's more of like an IntelliGrid. We're being very modest with what we're doing here, but we do want the minimum requirements that meet the state requirements, as well as being able to improve our efficiency and communicate with our customers. So I know that drawing is a bit much, but that's what it is. Major capital improvements in Linfield, Cook's Farm underground facilities upgrade. It's a pretty big project, and we're just percentage done.
Approximately 80% complete. The Cook's Farm.
Proactive maintenance programs. I mentioned last year we didn't really have any maintenance, so we developed a new group called Tech Service. We have 3 people right now that we are training through an apprentice journeyman program to be full-fledged technicians to take care of all of our testing and all of our substations. We've gone through all of our substations and did a baseline, so we're good to go. We fixed everything that was needed fixing. And then 7 new maintenance programs: the transformer replacement program, pole testing, manhole inspections, the new tree trimming program that Hamid has come around and talked to everyone about, the porcelain cutout replacement program, the quarterly inspections of the feeders, and basically that's combined with the infrared scanning. Because if you infrared scan any type of nuts and bolts up there and they're red and they're heating up, you could definitely catch proactively a problem before it happens, before you would have an outage. So we get a lot of bang for our buck for that little infrared scanning system. Double poles, I know one of your favorite subjects. But before we talk about that, just, we have a lot of projects that we're doing. The pole inspection program, it hadn't been being done. So we did, what did we do? How many poles altogether?
640 poles last year and 640 poles this year, so total of 1280 so far been tested.
So that represents 10%, and then 30% of those were condemned. So we had to replace them immediately. So we have to go through all the towns. And then we are also looking at Verizon's. That's a different subject, but we have to test them because we care about the safety of the public. And we'll just leave it at that for now. But that's one of the reasons why there's a lot more poles. But with due diligence, we're trying to get them out of there as quickly as possible. So in Linfield, there are a total of 41 poles, of which 13 need to be transferred by RMLD, which means that the balance of them, you need to transfer from Comcast or Verizon or Fire Department. So that's the double pole thing. Career development I spoke of earlier. We just want to make sure that we have succession planning and that everybody is trained. I want to be able to do all of our engineering in-house. I want to do everything in-house to be efficient. And so the training is quite extensive, but we do most of the training in-house. Hamid teaches classes, and I teach classes. Jane teaches classes. And we just want to make sure we bring everybody up to speed with all of the regulations and everything that govern our utility system. We recently just finished the arc flash hazard. I won't tell you when that was due, but we got it done immediately. The National Electric Safety Code, switching and tagging, and then relay testing and power factor testing. So these are some really big training activities that now we can do in-house that saves a lot of money. Annual reliability indices. I'm just going to read you what the definitions are. If you know, here in a sec. SAIDI, is system average interruption duration. It is the sum of all the customer interruption durations within the specified time frame divided by the average number of customers served during that period. So we're well within the average regional and national average. The CADI is the customer average interruption duration. It's defined as the average duration in minutes of an interruption experienced by customers during a specific time frame. And we are well below the regional and national average. And then SAFE is the last one, and that is defined as the average number of instances a customer on the utility system will experience an interruption during a specific time period. And everything on here is a minute or more. And the reason why we do that is because, you know, some of the larger companies don't capture things that small. But while we want to be able to tell, you know, here are our indices and look at how great we're doing, the real reason why we're catching it is so that you can see that pie chart down on the right. I want to know what's causing it so that we know where to focus our money to fix it. So if I know that, you know, trees are causing it, we want to bump up our tree program. Equipment, it sounds like everything's exploding, but it's more like, you know, fuses melting and things of that nature. And then, of course, wildlife, we're putting up squirrel guards and that type of thing. So we really try to dig a lot of details so that we know where to focus, where the outages are. I will tell you, though, that the August 4th storm next year, when we put that up, you'll be able to see exactly how one storm can just really makes a big difference when you're doing these indices. But we'll wait for next year for that one. And that's thank you. So I hope I covered everything that you might be interested in. Did I take too long?
Are you all done with the projector?
I am.
Yeah, okay. Jerry, you want to flip the lights on there, please? Save Bob the trip. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You don't need lights on.
Yeah, that's too bright.
All lights off.
Colleen, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I had some questions for you that came up from some of your comments.
Yeah.
You indicated that 75 to 80% of the cost is the power supply.
Right.
And that power supply is just something you pass on at your
Right.
cost that you pass on to the customers.
Correct.
And the other 20 to 25% are your expenses.
Correct.
All right, you indicated that these new power sources and pipelines and whatnot, the infrastructure that's being approved by FERC is part of our costs. They're passing on those costs of their new pipelines and whatever they're building as infrastructure to, and spreading out amongst all the customers.
Right.
Is that part of the power supply cost or part of your, that's part of that cost?
Yes.
Okay. So as we all know, there's a new pipeline that's been discussed, you know, that's going to go into FERC next week, actually at the end of this week. And is that cost of that new pipeline already an expense they're passing along, or are we only being passed along the pipelines that have already been approved and being built? Do we know?
You want to answer that?
Yeah.
I do believe it's part of it.
Primarily, the cost that we're incurring now is a result of Salem Harbor closing
Okay.
and Footprint Power going in and converting that power plant from a coal fire to a gas-fired plant.
Right.
So that's when when we were talking going from $3 to $15. That particular plant is what set that clearing price and what all of the customers in this region have to pay. Any gas pipelines that they're looking to build have not been included in any of those costs to date.
Do they not get included until they're approved?
Correct.
As far as you know? Okay.
Correct. That's my understanding.
Okay, so we understand that there's, if this new pipeline does get approved, and I know every town along the way is fighting it, including Linfield. If that did get approved and they put this new pipeline in, do you have any idea what that would do to the cost of your power supply? Have you gotten any indication?
Currently, we don't have any indication. One of the proposals that the state is looking at and the ISO is they're allowing the investor-owned utilities to incur those costs and pass those costs to those customers. If that happens the way it's being proposed right now, we may be exempt from that because we're not regulated by the Department of Public Utilities.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the final format of how that pans out, whether utility companies like Eversource and National Grid are going to be allowed to recover that cost and to have that liability, or if it's going to be structured in a different format. So right now, we don't have some preliminary numbers of what the cost is because we don't know how they're going to be compensated for it.
Well, there's the cost of putting the pipeline in and whatever other infrastructure costs they have. But then there's the potential savings they claim that this is going to create for the whole area after the source gets fully functioning, which is in 2 years.
Correct.
Yeah, do we have any idea on that? If that pipeline does go into full
It's so
mode?
preliminary now that it's very difficult to get even a range of,
Right.
of magnitude, because you have the proponents of the pipeline indicating that the savings will outweigh the cost, and then you have the people that are opposed to it saying the opposite. So it's very challenging and difficult till we know how they're going to structure the cost structure for us to determine that.
Right, and those are obviously all the questions that we've been asking,
Correct.
and we get the same answers. It's not, you don't get it
It's not
straight.
as crystal clear. as
No,
we'd
it's not that
like.
crystal
Yes.
clear, and because there's a lot of other costs involved, and you have middlemen.
Correct.
And of course, that ends up with you, and of course, ends up with all the residents that have to either foot the bill of the new pipeline or whatever the infrastructure is, and hopefully realize the savings that someday that they promise that it's going to create.
Correct.
So, but we don't have any idea whether that,
Not at
what that
this-
might
not
be,
at
or
this
whether that's
time.
going to happen at all. Okay, that was a good. All right, wait, hold a second, Tom. Now, go ahead, Tom. No, you can go. She answered everything. Thanks.
Just to follow up with what Phil was asking, how the Salem power plant, if it's converting from coal to gas, where is it going to get its gas now?
Through
Or is it just hoping to get gas?
again, they don't sign the long-term gas contracts. A lot of the generators there, and I don't know the ins and outs of Salem of footprint power in terms of what they're proposing. It's a very large unit. I believe it's a 600 megawatt unit, and so we're paying for the capital cost to build that, and so that capital cost, primarily the generation and any of the infrastructure, is what's going from the $3 clearing price to the $15.
But what business would create a plant without the source?
No, so the source has to be there.
So
because
currently they have a source.
I would assume. I would assume
Or
that.
why build it, right?
Yeah, we have a couple power plants within our portfolio that are dual fired, so they have gas and oil capabilities. And again, I'm not that familiar with footprint to know if it's similar or if it's just strictly a gas fired unit. But if it was, they would need the capacity. They wouldn't build a plant without having gas available. So
The purpose of asking these questions is, we've been talking about the gas pipeline, as Phil mentioned, and we're all very alarmed about it. So just trying to get a better understanding,
Yep.
because it just doesn't make sense. Build it and they'll come, but we're building it with no fuel. So what are we going to generate? So either they're gambling that
no,
FERC
I
is
don't
gonna
think they're
approve it.
building that magnitude of a plant without the capabilities for gas. And what happens in this New England region is because it's constrained, it's just certain times during the winter period that they're not guaranteed a gas supply contract. So the ISO has put in winter reliability rules where LNG gas bids onto it, or we have people that have oil fire units that fill up their oil tanks to provide that reliability for the region on whole. So by no means am I implying that Footprint is building a plant without gas, because there's certainly gas available to run that. It's just during the critical winter period that it may be limited.
Right, okay. And then,
We can look into that if you want, because I know that the Salem Harbor was combined cycle coal and oil. So when I toured it, I didn't see any gas, but we'll definitely look into that, because now you
that
got
would
me
be greatly appreciated. You were discussing before about going green and solar panels. Could you just explain what you meant by that?
You mean the community solar?
Yes.
I can let Jane explain the program. I mean, right now, we have Green Choice, where we buy green that's someplace else. So we're looking to bring green, so when they purchase green, it's inside of our service territory. But
Yeah,
Green
way back when
community
we
building.
developed a Green Choice program, which allowed residential customers and as well as commercial customers to invest in renewable plants throughout the region. And so for a $3 premium for every 100 kilowatt hours, we collect that revenue, and then we go out on the market and purchase renewable energy certificates, or RECs. And so again, it's a program that allowed people who were very passionate about these projects to help fund these projects. So that was our first step into the green market. As the years progressed, we incorporated some into our power supply portfolio, and now we have several hydro projects located throughout Massachusetts and Connecticut. We have some wind projects in Berlin, New Hampshire, and in Saddleback, which is in Maine, as well as we have a very large solar project that we signed a PPA in Wilmington, and that's all within our power supply portfolio. So the next general step would be to look at community solar, where customers who are passionate about the environment and that type of power could actually support it within our service territory. So we're trying to develop a pilot program, and we're working with each of the towns to look at municipal buildings so that the town could receive a lease payment, and it would be placed there. We would sign the PPA with the developer because we're not subject to deregulation. We don't allow developers to come and sell electricity to our customers, so they would have to sign the PPA for us. And we would develop a community solar program where customers could sign up and fix a portion of their power supply costs related to that project.
So that means if we wanted to, say, lease certain town-owned buildings, the roofs, you'd put,
Whether
we'd
it's
lease it to
school-
you for X, and we would get some sort of a discount off our utility bill as well?
You would get that lease payment, and again,
No discount.
no.
Okay.
Again, because we're,
Get a lease payment.
but you'd be getting a revenue stream. And so that's why we're not really looking into the commercial segment of it, but we're trying to work with the towns. I'm going to start with a pilot in Wilmington, and then hopefully that will be successful. And then we'll be working, I believe, Tom O'Lilla, an engineer in my group, is going to be reaching out to the town as well as the facilities manager, Andy.
Lafferty.
To kind of tour the buildings, to include that in the RFP, just so we can get an understanding of what developers could potentially put up there.
That's great.
I think
That's
it's
great.
worth,
Yeah.
Tom, I think that's worth looking at, though.
Absolutely.
Because Lincoln Sudbury, I think, did that at their high school. I think I was at a soccer game, and I don't know if this figure's correct or not, but it generates about $200,000 a year in revenue. But I think that's something definitely to pursue.
And I just have one last comment. I want to thank your linemen. We had, in my neighborhood, the one day we leave early, go home and there's no power, and within 2 hours the power was going.
Oh, good.
There were 3 trucks out there, guys buzzing around, working really hard. In the course of the line a tree fell onto a line, and a light was damaged. They repaired the light, and they were gone. 3 tops 4 hours. It was phenomenal. They really did a
Outstanding
great job.
Okay. I just wanted to mention one more thing about the green. I just want everyone to understand that this RFP that Tom O'Lilla is doing, where we'll have vendors look at different rooftops or whatever you want us to look at, that a lot of the financials don't come in, the packages, they put together the packages after they look at it. And I know a lot of managers want to look at the financials up front. But it depends on, where is it, which way does it face? And they have to look at the square footage. There's a lot of things that go into it. So that's why we're having the RFP, because we want to make sure that we get companies that are going to put together the best value for a purchase power agreement.
And I'm sure when they do that, they would make compensation for, whatever HVAC units and whatever else is on the roof. I'm sure that would be pretty standard, right? For workmen to be able to get up there and make repairs, replace equipment, etc.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Standard.
There's the firemen. I mean, there's a lot that goes into making
Sure.
sure that they meet the standards and, for access and fire concerns and things like that, so.
But that you're right, Chris, that would be a great source of revenue for the town.
I think it's one to absolutely look at and tap.
Great.
Just not to belabor, we have one in the middle school in Norwell, and it's also tied to the science curriculum. There's a monitor in the school that tells how much solar is producing that day, what the electricity replacement is, and they tie it on to the curriculum.
I thought it was impressive
Great.
in Lincoln Sudbury. I thought
Yeah.
it really was an impressive structure on that building.
Pat?
I always rave about Reading Municipal Light, and I've always said how reasonable your rates are. But I do want to ask for, I did hear you say 7 to 9% increase, right, in residential rates. Could you give me the 3 top reasons? I know the people out there heard the whole presentation, but could you just give it in simple terms, the 3 top reasons why the rates are going to go up that, because they went up again, they already went up once recently. Could you give us that? And then I have a couple of other questions.
Sure. The primary drivers, as Colleen has stated, is power supply, and that's the pass-through. So
Okay.
capacity costs, power supply represents 75 to 80% of our cost.
Okay.
So that 7 to 9% of that, less than 2% is our operational expenses, and the majority of that is transmission, capacity, and energy related. And so we'll do our best in terms of being able to sign some of the energy contracts and try to reduce that amount. But capacity and transmission, minus our programs, we really have very limited ability to control that.
Okay, thank you.
You're
That was a very, very succinct explanation. On the use, customer use of off-peak hours. So I'm assuming that on-peak is 7:01 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. Is that what it is?
Yep.
And the other part of that question is, what if somebody's sick and they need to use their electricity? You know, explain that
Sure.
to people out there that might be listening.
Sure. Our on-peak period is from noon to 7 p.m.
Right.
Monday through Friday.
Right.
And it doesn't include holidays.
Okay.
So it's basically 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, typically. So over 35 hours on a 7-day week. So if someone has to use power during that period, that's expected. We don't expect you to shut the breaker off and use no power. Typically what happens on average, our customers use around 80, and some are so good that they can use 90% of their power just by running their dishwasher or doing the drying and washing after that 7 p.m. or before that noon period, waiting for the weekends. Typically, before we changed our rate structure, it was from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., which was really constraining to our customers, and it made it very difficult for them. So as part of the cost of service, we restructured that and made it noon to 7 to try to close the window of when they can and shouldn't do high use period. You know, people run their air conditioner, and that's expected as long as you're able to shift your behavioral patterns when it is putting the oven on, the dishwasher, the dryer, the high usage things. Okay. So you're still being able to take advantage of that. A lot of our customers who have electric cars go on our time of use rate because the beauty of that is you're charging while you're sleeping. And so we have customers that really have been able to shift 90% of their power to off-peak. And it becomes a game and a contest to a lot of customers in terms of invoking that. You know, when I was growing up, my mom always used to say, shut the lights off. And now the generations today, younger kids, you walk and there's a light on in every room. Yeah. So it's trying to get back to that efficiency mode of just turning things off when you're not using them.
Great.
Oh, savings on a typical bill for those that are on time of use is on average between 10 and 19% compared to the regular rate. So it does require a different meter. So you'd have to call the office and request a time of use meter. We ask that you're on it for a year because we send them the techs out there to change out the meter. And then we can work with you to capture how much your savings by being on that rate versus the regular residential rate.
Great, thank you. That's good for people to know, that detail. Last year, of course, with the snow, we hope it was just an unusual year. I live on a subdivision, as many people in Linfield do. The all these services are located in a very small area. Everything's underground. In one small area is where our electric service, Verizon, et cetera, is. Well, in an attempt to clean out the hydrant on my street, and this may have very well occurred in other subdivisions, they pushed the snow precipitously close to our services. I would say about 6 inches from the services. And so I call the water district, and the same thing happened again. So I call the water district again. And what I was told was it might have been the National Guard that did it. It might have been the town of Linfield, and it might have been the water district that did it. Okay. So, being a problem solver, I called Reading Municipal Light this summer and said, could we flag the electrical service the way we flag the hydrants? And I was very surprised. The man that answered my call called me back within like 15 minutes, and he said, guess what? They're going to do it in October. Well, it didn't happen in October. So I called again this week, and I'm still waiting for a call back. Are they going to flag? Because, boy, you and we don't want to destroy our services in the middle of a snowstorm or any other time. So tell me if that's something that's going to happen so that people in subdivisions will know.
Yeah, generally, typically, you don't flag the services, but rather you flag the transformers. So the transformers that supply the load to the services. Yeah, that we got a program to do that, and we're going around, and like what Colin mentioned, we got many maintenance programs that we need to catch up due to lack of maintenance in the past. So as we getting through those, we try to implement them, and we are trying to get to them to the best we can. And obviously it will be. Well, last year they didn't put any flags. I'm not aware of that, but I'm gonna check into that to see that whether they.
We have these whip things
Right.
that go on the sides of the transformers, and they
I
should
know.
be up so that the plows can see that there's a
Right.
transformer. But we're talking about the
Right.
green boxes.
Yes,
Is that what you mean by
that's
the
exactly what I mean, to put flags on those.
Right. What they do, they put flags on the services and the transformers for the parks and for public places. But I'm not sure about the main residential. So we
What's
have
First
to.
Street?
Patrice Lane, we're right off of Main Street.
Right.
But I do want to speak for other subdivisions,
No, I
just to
understand.
make them aware that exists, and it would be
That would be helpful.
certainly
Yeah.
good for you and good for the citizens of Linfield.
Right, no, we don't want.
We look
plow-
into
we don't
that.
wanna plow
No, we don't want them.
No,
That's gonna cost
no,
us
and
too much
especially
money.
when you can't determine who it is that did it, so you don't know who to call.
We look into that now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think I have one more question. Off-peak. All right, and I think that's about it. I just do want to say that Linfield is one of the communities, 17 communities in Massachusetts that has the most gas leaks. So consumers in Linfield are losing money on gas. They're paying for those leaks, and we are going to attempt to get that straightened out come the spring. We hope they're going to come back and fix the leaks, which are damaging to the ozone, to the plants, to the animals, and to the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colleen, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for
Thank
having
thank
us.
you, thank you.
Thank
We'll
Yep.
be back in the spring.
Yep.
And Jim has the, if you need anything else, just shoot me an email, and we'll be glad to, we'll get that whip antenna up on,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, take care,
Thank
take care,
you.
thank you. Next item on our agenda is the final contract for our new town accountant, assistant finance director, Mr. Boudreau.
You should have it in front of you. I sent out this afternoon once I got it back from Tom Mullen. Try to follow as best I could the directions that we received from the board. Probably about the only thing that's maybe a little bit different is we had discussed, the board wanted to try to get this on the lower end of the scale. You know, my negotiations with Colleen, she was making in the range of 86,000 now. She was offered a raise to stay. She's getting less vacation and paying more for her health insurance to come here. So the offer to get her to agree, I think, went up a little bit higher than what we were looking for. I still think it's pretty reasonable. Aside from that, I did try to get what Tom said. So what you have in front of her is an annual salary starting at $97,500. In the first year of the agreement, after her first year, she would get the same cost of living adjustment as the clerical union, and then she would be eligible for up to another 3% based upon goals and objectives that we will have to set out and whether she meets them. And then the last year of the contract would be determined. If she gets her mass certified procurement officer, that would be worth $1,500, but that would be a stipend and not added to her salary. I was talking to Colleen as late as 6:45 tonight. She was just waiting to hear back from her attorney. Her only comment at this point was the termination language. She would like to add language that the termination would be for cause, which is generally assumed if you don't put it in. It's a pretty regular or routine thing to have in a contract that termination would be for cause as opposed to just cause, which is a higher standard that you see in your union contracts that I wouldn't agree to put in. Aside from that, I told her she's agreed to all the other terms and conditions. She just wants her attorney to make sure on the language. So what you see in front of you tonight is basically what she would be getting for benefits, salary, and things like that.
Where's that paragraph regarding cause?
It's on the second to last page.
Well,
Under termination.
there's a termination, which is a failure to reappoint, and her, but on the first page, the assistant finance director, town accountant is terminated or asked to resign by the board. There's a severance pay, 3-month severance, unless she's involved with malfeasance or criminal activity. So you'd either put in a separate paragraph or put in somewhere that says the termination would be for cause.
Cause.
Yeah.
Well, being someone who works with contracts all day, I would think that would be part of it, so it's clear. You know, you don't assume things. So I would think that's a good change. Where we had a unanimous decision for Colleen for this position. She's somewhere in the middle of our dollar range, and you did give her some incentives. I believe that's a well-constructed contract, and I appreciate you working on that, Jim.
I think that was something that came across clear, that the board wanted incentives in the contract for her to progress and to get better and things like that. So I wanted to make sure that was structured in the contract.
Yep.
But now, shouldn't this here be a 2-year contract?
Well, the current contract was a 3-year contract with the existing town accountant.
Right, but everybody else has 2 years.
Right. Because she is the assistant finance director. It is a separate position that can be up to a 3-year contract under statute. I'm a 2-year contract specifically. I did run that by Tom Mullen. He said, no, because the current's 3 years, you can't do it up to 3 years because it's town accountant / assistant finance director.
Okay.
And this was offered to her as a 3-year contract. That was her
Yep.
impression when she first came in. Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Chris, any comments on it?
Nope.
No? Chris is good?
I just want to let the board know, she was here Wednesday.
Mhm.
On Veterans Day, she came in and met Julie. Already started. Julie came in and met her and started showing her everything. So she's very excited to start. And again, I think it was a little more than we wanted. But given the board's unanimous selection of her and what a good candidate is, I didn't want to say, oh, I can't go that high and lose her for a couple $1,000s.
So when do you think we're looking at a starting date?
She will give her notice once the board's approved it. I think she's being a little prudent in that case. But I would say, she said probably 2.5, 3 weeks after her notice. So you're probably talking first or second week in December. Yep.
Well, that seems reasonable. I think the numbers, is very workable. So I'd take a motion to accept the contract with the minor modification as written.
Excuse me, I didn't hear, what was the modification that you stated?
Just, we'll put in language specifying that termination would be for cause.
Oh,
That's all.
so what would his salary, his starting salary?
97.5.
97.5, and what was the outgoing?
105. So.
Okay. I take a motion to approve the new contract as written with the for-cause adjustment.
Do we have to fill in any dates or?
I just gotta wait to get her start date, so, that's, the board just has to allow me to fill those in.
Okay.
But it'd be whenever her start date is, and the contract would be year after that. And her vacation
Yeah, the other,
prorated based upon her start, so I need to know what her start date is.
that's under other personal benefits has to be completed as well.
Right, and that just is depending on, if she starts
On the
January
date.
1st, she gets half.
Right,
So it's
on the
just gonna prorate based
She's
upon her
an
start.
exempt employee, so that means she doesn't get overtime?
Correct. Correct, under the Fair Labor Standards Act, she would not be considered an employee that would get overtime.
In the last year, you have a salary to be determined
The board would have to negotiate that
at that time.
at that time, correct?
So I'd make a motion to approve the town accountant / finance director's contract, subject to a starting date for 3 years.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Jim, thank you.
Thank you.
Next items are the common vic license for Fresh Food Cafe. I knew you were there for a reason. Come on, and introduce yourself and,
My name is
Hello.
Jason Cohane. I represent Fresh Food LLC. We do business out of the Wenham Tea House in Wenham, Massachusetts. We've been running that for about a year under our Fresh Food name, previously owned and ran by Henry's Market, who my father owned. So we're looking to reopen and run the cafe at 6 Kimball Lane
Yeah.
in the Tamboni Atlantic Building. And the Board of Health has come through and has approved their permit. And I've also dropped off the business certificate and had that signed today also.
Great.
I've worked at Henry's for about 20 years. It's me, my brother, and a partner named Peter Capalbo that run and operate the Wenham Tea House currently. And now we're looking to expand and bring our great food to the town of Linfield.
Great. So was there was an existing restaurant there, or is it all new?
Yeah, the previous tenant it was called Rita's Cafe.
Okay.
I'm not sure how long they occupied the space. I've been told there has been a couple different tenants within that cafe space, and so.
Great.
The only question that I have here is, I noticed that you're applying for the license under Fresh Food Cafe, but your insurance is Fresh Food LLC DBA Wenham Tea House. And then the workers' comp policy is Fresh Food LLC DBA Wenham Tea House. Are you gonna be adding another DBA onto this?
Yes, that was the certificate that I
And your
came in
insurance
today for.
certificates will be updated?
Absolutely.
That's my only question.
Chris, any
Yeah,
questions?
yeah, that was required by the
No.
owners of the building also.
So,
All seems to be in order. I'll take a motion to approve the common vic license for Fresh Food Cafe.
I'll make a motion to approve the common victuals license for Fresh Food Cafe, subject to providing updated certificates of insurance.
Absolutely.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Best of luck.
Thank you very
Good
much.
luck.
And I'll have those
Yep. Good
certificates
luck.
for you in the
Thank
next
you.
week.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I know on the, online, the original agenda that I put online had the fire department. Okay, that's being moved to the December 7th meeting. They were not ready to present tonight. So we'll move on to the Merit Center policy. There he is, comes from the back room.
That's it. Behind the curtain.
There you go.
Good evening.
Welcome, Eric.
Thank you, guys. I will spare you the War and Peace version of this time. So it's I'm just here to kind of go over the minimal changes that we discussed last time we were here, and everybody had some nice input. So everything that was on here. Do you have all the highlighted versions of this?
Yes.
Okay. I can just kind of briefly go over this real quick. this, I'm not going to take a lot of your time up. But basically, if you look at it, that top portion, the mission statement was just a little bit more clarified in there. I mean, do you really want me to? I can read through it if you want. I don't really. Do you want me to read through it?
No,
Okay.
you don't have to-
Thank you.
I would just take
We'll just take questions, but go through
All
it.
right.
Just go
So
through section by
that
section.
just clarifies that. A couple of things that the section where it says fair and equitable terms. Just a couple of terminology statements in there that kind of clarified things. There's a little section there that said about the room usage. If there was inappropriate content, that was added in. Reiterating the no sales and profit making. Page 2, there was again in number 14, groups renting the space must adhere to the no sales or profit making. The third page, this basically clarified what the charges were going to be for Linfield residents and non-residents. There was a cleaning deposit. We redid that, so that's $200 now. That's straight $200 for the cleaning deposit that will be refundable if the room is not damaged. There was the age of the adult who has to sign was up to 21 years. On that same page, there was a couple of things that's basically saying about the in advance if someone fails to not give the amount of time if they decide to not show up. Then there was a little section in that fourth page about the rescheduling again. There was a couple of typos that were in there, so there's a thing that said about the meeting room that got fixed. There's another part that's specific to meeting room use. That was just a little typo fix. The fifth page, again, they're just little blurbs, facilities, address or location. Patrons outside. These are just all this real subtle things. The one that was the Al Merritt Media Center, it said something totally different. Last time it said the town manager. That got corrected to town administrator. And then we just did a little addition to the no propping of the doors. And the last thing on number 23 that got added in was the proper attire, just in case somebody like shoes and things like that, so nobody gets hurt. And then the last thing was the meeting room application, which basically got adjusted again if you look at the spreadsheet. So it's very clear on the what the charges are. And then the non-negotiable cleaning deposit, all the information that they have to fill in. That's about it.
So it looks like you made all the changes we asked.
Yes.
You updated the application.
Yes, correct.
All right.
Based upon the charges and that we all discussed, correct.
Was there anything still here that you had a question on, Eric, or you were unsure about?
Not really.
No.
I think everything here seemed pretty clean cut at this point, so I think we're pretty covered, well covered for the room usage.
Jim, did you review this? Are you happy with it?
Yeah, I went through it. Seems to have made most of the changes. Probably the only thing that's really come up in discussion since the board has done this is seems to be people want to use that room and have alcohol. And it is not allowed under this policy. So we've been telling people that it's not allowed. For obvious reasons, we want to prevent the wear and tear on the room. And I think my other point is it's not a function room, it's a meeting room. But just to let the board know, we've had several residents / business people come in and say, I'd like to have like a Christmas party there or something along those lines, and we tell them we don't allow alcohol in there.
Not to mention the 37 stairs you have to come down after you've left the get back down the main street. It's not a good idea to be
again,
drinking
it
up
is
there.
not a function
Yeah.
room. But I just want to bring that to the board's attention that we have heard that from several people, and
You can
So
take
you
the
can pass
elevator.
out in the elevator instead. Yeah.
But aside from that, I think Eric made most of the revisions that we talked about.
Yeah, well, Eric, I appreciate you working on this. I know it took a while. We had a lot of input on it and, a lot of minor changes, but some substantive changes here.
Sure.
I'll open up to the board. Anybody have any questions or comments on it? Tom, Jim?
I have a
Chris?
few questions.
Sure.
What is your mission?
The mission?
Right.
Well, the mission would be what falls under the.
Is it what above?
Yeah, I mean, basically, which is the section up top, which the values, the pursuit of individual and community goals by ensuring the open exchange of diverse materials and ideas in support of our values and our mission. Linfield makes the meeting room available for public uses which support and further our mission.
So the first sentence is your mission?
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure of that.
No, definitely.
Then what is inappropriate content?
Inappropriate content? I mean, again, that's
Well,
subjective, but like,
well,
let's.
and I'm going to tell you why.
Sure.
I mean, think about it. Our, this great country, we have the Declaration of Independence, and when that was initially drafted, they were heretics. So right now, what you may feel is inappropriate could be some phenomenal document.
Hmm.
So I don't want you to impede history.
Okay.
So, but with, joking aside,
Yeah.
what do you? Can we refine that a little more, because I think it's subjective.
Yeah, I think any of
Because
that's.
for example, like we had the gas line meeting up there,
Sure.
and what would happen if that was already voted on? Someone could say that's really not appropriate to have that in a town facility.
Just to jump in, I don't think it's those type of meetings.
Mhm.
It is subjective. It's almost like the Supreme Court's definition of pornography. I'll know it when I see it. But this would be more. Obviously, we don't want to be renting to groups that promote hate speech, that promote violence, that don't promote public good, public discourse, and it's.
Can we say that?
We probably could, but if you try to pin it down,
You open up.
and then someone says, I don't
It's
do
not
that.
what
It's
I'm
not
doing.
me, right? So we want to leave it open that we can make that decision. But those are the type of things we don't want people up there.
Who determines that? Would you determine that?
Eric would determine it, and then it could be appealed to me.
Yeah, you couldn't possibly list all the things that could come across your desk that would be inappropriate.
Right, and there are things that we would say, yes, you can have, and individual members of the board would say, I don't think that's appropriate, and vice versa would say no, and you'd say, geez, I don't have a problem with that. But, again, we don't want anybody up there promoting hate speech, promoting intolerance, inciting, promoting violent things like that. But if Thomas Jefferson comes back, Tom, we'll make sure he
You
gets
take
used.
care of him.
We'll comp
Be
him.
real careful.
We'll
Be
comp
real
him.
careful with that,
He
Eric.
died penniless, so we'll comp Thomas Jefferson if he comes back.
Why can't we open this up to weekend use? I know that you're not around, and you obviously need some time.
Yeah, it's just basically it's just that. It's like we don't have the staff for something like that to handle that, and I think becomes a little bit of a liability issue when you don't have eyes in there and you're just kind of handing it off to somebody. Go, hey, have fun, and then you're like come in on Monday and find out that the place was trashed and the furniture's ripped up, and you know what I mean. So that's I think at this point now maybe that could change down the road. Maybe that's.
Well, we had that
something
discussion when we talked about it last time, that part of your fee structure is to hopefully get an assistant that can help out with the whole structure there. And,
Exactly.
And if it works out the way you want it to, that we could have some weekend use, and we could modify this later on. But right now, you just don't have the ability to do weekend use.
Exactly.
Right. That's
At
what we had
this
talked
point.
about last time.
Exactly.
What I'm thinking about is there's a lot of nonprofits in town that, they'll have meetings at night or on weekends when there are, people that are donating their time are available.
Sure.
And it would be nice just to have another location for them to meet.
Have we gotten a lot of looks for the weekend, Eric? I don't think
Not
we
a
have.
lot. I mean, the only people that have actually used it on a weekend was the fire department. They have these certain training events that only happen like on a Saturday. Yeah, that's about the only thing we've done.
And I think that's something, even under the policy, we can still allow, because those are our employees. It's controlled who's going in there. We can give them access to a key, so the building itself is not open. I know Market Street is concerned about the security of the building and the other tenants. So we could limit who goes in there, so we can still do that. But I think right now the goal is to get it open, get it running, see what kind of demand we have. And if we get a lot of demand for the weekend and the building's not getting too beat up, I think we can come back and revisit this.
Okay.
Well, it's the coverage that's the big thing.
Exactly.
You got to make sure it's being monitored.
Yeah, and we want to keep an eye on the use too. We don't want it's a beautiful room. We don't want it just getting beat up because it's
Trashed.
getting used
Right.
too much.
Right.
And because it passes through the access station as well too, it becomes a little bit of a liability issue because we've got hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gear that you have to pass through there as well too. So
Yeah. Is every door locked?
yes,
Come through? Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, no one that enters can get into anything except the meeting room.
Okay.
So could you just refresh my memory on
Sure.
nonprofit organizations? Do they need to pay as well?
At this point, I thought we discussed that nonprofits still are not paying. Actually, I'm a little fuzzy in that area. I don't remember what we said on that.
Thought we were charging nonprofits, just not
I didn't
as
think we
much.
made an exception
think
for
we talked about
nonprofits, but we had only if there was a town entity.
Oh, yeah, that
Okay.
town entities
Yeah,
were
that was the
no.
only- that was the
Well,
only
a
one.
nonprofit
Okay.
would be like a town resident, they'd be probably charged, because youth football, you'd sign up for a
Right.
town resident, you'd get the town resident fee, but you'd still get charged.
Right. They get the discounted rate. Right. for the
Correct.
residents.
That's
So-
what it was.
So right now, since we're extending a benefit to them where they use the schools or what have you, that there's no fee involved other than if they need a janitor, shouldn't we extend that same situation here?
But I have to check with Jane, but I think they almost always get charged for using the schools.
Only the janitor.
Right, the cost of the
Clean out.
janitor, yeah.
Right. But we don't get charged. No one got, when I ran Linfield Youth Football, we didn't get charged for using, say, the cafeteria for sign up or handing out equipment or things such as that.
Well, I wouldn't do any of those things at the Merit Center, but,
But we could do the sign-ups up there.
That-
is,
that's
you know, thinking
more up
about
to the
something
board.
like that. And then that actually draws a whole lot of people into Market Street to go for dinner or lunch or ice cream.
The only thing I with that use stuff that gets a little I think we had this discussion before, but we didn't want a lot of kids in that room because of the gear.
Right.
There's just a lot of sensitive stuff, and plus we have that big door that accordions out that partitions the room in half. Each one of those panels weighs 700 pounds. You know, you get kids just horsing around. I mean, my son's 16. He still does stuff every once in a while. You're like, what are you doing? You know, just, again, liabilities of people getting hurt.
So now, the one really big issue that I have is with the growth in the town and the excess revenues that we're very fortunate to have year in and year out, at least in this very short term. Is there any way we could avoid charging, at least for residents and resident nonprofit organizations? Can we drop that fee down to maybe $50, sort of a token, much like the use of the meeting house?
I thought the meeting house, I thought they're like 100 and something, aren't they? 100 and a
What is the
quarter?
meeting house?
It's
rate?
100 and a quarter. Yeah.
At 150.
Is it 150 now?
150?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
We
you're-
kind of
but
we
you're a
kind of matched
non-resident.
that. Yeah, we got it.
You're a non-resident, because I know that, I thought other people were renting it out for something less.
I didn't
Am I
think so.
wrong?
I thought it was, I mean, I could be wrong, but I thought it was
I'd be,
150.
I think if we could certainly, I don't think it should be higher than the meeting house.
Mm.
I think I'd said that when we first discussed this,
Sure.
that but I think the fee ended up being, but I think it's worth.
We spent a lot of time on
Yeah.
this.
I think that's why we went to multiple hours
Mm.
instead of 1 hour, because no one's going to use it for 1 hour.
Right.
So we went to multiple hours,
Right,
so you
up to
get
4
4
hours
hours
is
for 150,
$150.
right?
Right.
Which was reasonable for the residents.
We spent a lot of time going on this, and really the
We did.
discussion was, we can make it free,
Mhm.
but we're gonna have to appropriate some money into Andrew's budget for additional
Yeah.
Mhm.
custodial time. And, you know, I wasn't here when this building was developed, but I was, my understanding that it really wasn't supposed to cost the town money for this building. That's entirely a policy decision up to the board. We could put additional money in Andrew's budget for additional hours, but the other consideration we had at the time was, we want it used, we don't want it overused. And we don't want people in there every night, every weekend, every day, and taking that beautiful room and just, you know, not trashing it, but just wearing it out from so many feet going in and out. That was one of the discussions we had when we set.
Yeah, we talked about that in depth at the last meeting, but one of the other issues we had that we came up was we're trying to help Eric set up a budget so he can bring on a second assistant to help him with that. And then the whole the whole issue comes up: do we fund it as part of our town budget, or do we try to do it on a fee base? And at this point, we can't add it to the budget right now. I think it's I think we're gonna let Eric try it on a fee based and see how that worked out for the next 6 months, and then we'll get a little bit of a guide from him after that on whether or not we should look elsewhere or change our thought here. But I think getting this in place now so we can at least use it on a fee base until that time, this is the best plan in action right now. And that was pretty much the bulk of the construction, of the conversation last time.
It was, but you know, we're not taking into account the cable fees. Where's all that going?
Cable fees cannot be used for the merit room.
Yeah, that's
At all?
totally separate now.
They can only be used for the provisions of cable television and the cable television studio, productions, things like that. They can't be used for the merit room, to support the merit room.
So if someone wants to produce something, your staff will do that for free?
Well, no, that's something totally different. The cable access portion and the meeting. Are we talking about the cable access?
Yeah, because I've been talking to a lot of people, and the feedback I'm getting is, well, we're paying all these cable fees. That's the cable room, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you have that other great room set up for, look like a talk show kind of a situation, and nothing has come from it. So where's all the Cablevision money going?
Right now, it counts in the books of the town.
Mhm.
It pays Eric's salary, it pays our camera guy's salary,
Mhm.
it paid people that went out and did the Linfield pipeline meeting. Eric is in talks with the high school right now to set up some sort of internship program, I don't know what you want to call it, to get the kids, so maybe we can do more activities, games, things like that. For those of you whose kids are in drama, know we can't film the plays because we run into copyright problems if you film somebody's play. But to do that more, once we get the Merit Center policy, then we need to set up the use of the cable facility policy. But that's where those monies go to. That's where they've gone. They built the facility for us, but all the equipment and everything in there, we paid for out of our money. All the equipment in here, we pay for out of our money. The school committee meetings, that all comes out of the cable money. But the Merit Center is not part of cable. You can't use the cable money for that.
So right now, what percentage of the use of the meeting room is to the public versus the town?
I would say it's almost all the town at this point. It's mostly Selectmen, FinCom, Fire Department.
So what do we really, I don't see the relevance here. If it's an insignificant sum of money for the few people that are gonna use it, why should we charge them a fee? Meaning the in-town people.
Yeah, I don't want to be in a situation, to quote Yogi Berra, that nobody goes there anymore. It's too crowded. If you make it available for free, it's going to get used. There's no question, because as you said, it's a great place to go. You have your meeting, you get downstairs, you have dinner, you get some ice cream, now you can go skating. Not that I'm advocating Market Street, but the skating rink's open now. So I think you drive the use up tremendously if you say, hey, you can come use this. Again, that's a policy decision for the board.
It's been free up to this point anyway, so if someone was gonna do that, why wouldn't they have done that now?
Well, we haven't really been advertising or encouraging or letting people know. I know the MAPC's had a couple meetings there during the day. The Association of Town Finance Committees is going to have a meeting there that Linfield is the host of.
MPG's coming.
Yep. So again, really, it's entirely up to the board. I think if we make it free, it's going to get a lot of use. It's going to get worn out pretty fast. If you want to change the fee and have it almost a hybrid that the town pays for part of it and part of it's raised for the fees, again, that's up to the board. But we had a very lengthy discussion on that when we brought this policy forth the first time.
Yeah.
And we actually amended the fees that were here based upon the comments from the board.
Right, these fees were adjusted for that reason.
And we've had, since last November, we've had 125 uses of that room, which is pretty, if you broke it down, that's something like 11 uses per month. So if you chose to do that, that's not exactly how it worked, but that's how, just to give you a visual. But I think also we get in a weird situation because Market Street is now paying, we're almost like overusing it to the point where like their restrooms and stuff, which that's a common area. Now they're having to pay somebody to clean that room for our overuse, and it gets in a weird area there too. They just mentioned a few things to me. They didn't think it was going to be used as much, whatever. But I'm just don't shoot the messenger.
So you've been spoken to by Market Street?
Well, I've just had comments made that that it's been used a little more than they thought, that the whatever meetings that they had.
They thought it'd be an occasional meeting in there, yeah.
Yeah, they were under the assumption it was going to be minimal meetings, and like I say, it's been 125. Again, this is
That's 2 a week. That's
it's a-
overused
Yeah,
twice
no,
a
I know.
week?
Again, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just making a
It's-
comment.
If you're in there, and I haven't spoken to, but if you're in there for a meeting, when you're going in, setting up, and like, the selectmen meeting at 7 o'clock, I get there around 6, and the woman's cleaning the bathrooms. And then the selectmen's meeting comes in, the bathroom's already been cleaned.
Right.
And, we show up with 60, 70 people, and they all use the bathroom. Now they've got to clean the bathroom again. I don't know. I'm not worried about that.
That's just one of those unintended
Yeah,
consequences.
exactly.
Do we know what they rent out the meeting,
Like a log-
meeting room here for?
Over here?
Meeting house, right?
Well, wasn't it 150? Is that what we were saying? I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what the
I'm not
number
sure.
was.
Exactly, but it's somewhere in there.
Yeah. I don't know the exact number either, but I know that's Bob's right.
Yeah, I think that was what we talked about before. It was the 125 to 150 range, and certainly
And that's what
the
we
the
lowered
meeting
to.
room at Market Street's up. Right, right. So that's a common, but this is also, that's why we went to a multi-hour usage instead of, I think we talked originally $50 an hour.
Yeah,
And then we went to $150 for 4 hours because no one's going to use it for 1 hour.
No,
Didn't make any sense, so
no.
that made more sense.
So, I know of someone else that used the meeting house, and in town was $50. So I would have no problem if the resident use charge is $50. In 8 hours, $100. That would seem to be a little more reasonable. At least we're matching what we have going on right now.
And again, that's a policy decision. My only response to that would be the meeting house is a function facility. The Merit Center is a meeting room as opposed to a function facility. I know it's semantics, but that's more set up to handle the events that they're having than the Merit Center is. But again, it's a policy decision. If it's not generating enough funds to be self-supporting, then we would have to look at putting additional funds in the budget in the spring for additional custodial work, and if it's getting busy, to hire someone to help Eric to do the scheduling and Saturday go down there and make sure that there's no shenanigans going on.
And just to throw this into, just from being in there, that room isn't very sound in the sense of right underneath us is Fugaku. Then we've got different businesses down the hallway. When I'm going down the hallway, sometimes like when guys are loud and kind of, I can hear them. So that in mind, like the events that are going to be potentially rowdy or whatever you want to say, like, that's not going to be helpful in there too. Exactly.
So that would fall under the inappropriate.
Well, I don't find it inappropriate, but it would be, disturbing or to attached businesses. Just to
That's
throw
fine.
that out.
Chris, you have any thoughts on it?
No, I appreciate the changes you've made. I know you've listened, made some significant changes to this. I appreciate the work you're doing.
Thanks.
So thank you.
Thank you.
And I forgot to mention, I want to thank you and Jim for meeting with me for 2 hours to go painstakingly go through
It was a nice
every
day.
paragraph.
Yeah.
We had a nice cup of coffee sitting
It was nice
outside. It was
after
nice.
It was a nice day.
Well, I'm happy with the way it came out as to what we asked for in the last meeting. We went over that for a couple hours at the time, so I'm happy with the document as written. I'd take a motion to accept the Al Merit Media Center meeting room policy as written.
So moved.
I would totally disagree with that. I think we should reduce the resident rate to coincide with the meeting house, with the up to 4 hours costing $50 for a resident and $100 for up to 8 hours.
Well, I think we should have it as written. This is the way we asked to have it. So I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Opposed?
Okay.
Based upon the fee alone. I think you did great work, Eric.
Eric, thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
The next item is, we had a resignation for the Linfield Recreation Commission. John Judd, who's been on the commission for the last 3 or 4 years. He is moving out of town, and I just want to tell John I thank him for his service. Did a great job on the commission. We'll miss him very much. He's been a friend of mine for years, And I'm sad to see him moving out of town, but John, thank you. I will be taking resumes for applicants for the Rec Commission, and if those get in by our next meeting, we'll discuss it then. So send those to Town Hall, to Bob Curtin, and tell them your interest in the Rec Commission, that you'd like to be a member, and maybe a little resume about your experience in town or your background, and we'll take a look at those in the next couple of weeks.
I'd like to thank John Judd for, I think when he first joined the Recreation, I was still there. I think I was just finishing up, and great to work with, and thank you for all your hard work. I'd also like to make a motion to put Wayne Schaefer back on the Linfield Recreation Commission. I know that he works with me, but Wayne was on the Recreation Commission for many years. I think, Chris, you could vouch for this, how hard of a worker he was, and how he made a lot of our programs extremely successful through his dedication and hard work. So I can't think of anybody more deserving than him than to retake his position back on the Linfield Recreation Commission.
I think, Tom, I certainly appreciate the nomination, and I think I'd just rather see him put in his resume with if anybody else is interested in the vacancy, and we can consider him with the other applicants if there are any.
Yeah, so we'll take applications for next couple of weeks, see who else is interested. If Mr. Schaefer would like to apply, then we would consider him along with whoever else applies at our next meeting. Next item.
We have Wayne's from the planning board application.
Mhm.
If each wants to send an email to Mr. Ball,
We can use this existing one. Okay, great. We also have another resignation from the Conservation Commission. William Vitagliano has retired, and again, he was there for 14 years. I want to thank him for all his past work for the town. It's much appreciated. A 14-year stint on any board is unusual, and I think he's going to be very much missed. Again, we want to get him replaced. The Concom has asked us to consider their associate member that's there now. Jim, are we familiar with? I think I have it on another document. It was on the cover sheet. It's not on my agenda.
William Vitagliano is retiring, and Angelo Sacramone
Yes.
has asked for his alternate full membership.
And he's the alternate member now on the board. So they want to promote him from an alternate member to a full membership to replace William Vitagliano. I'd accept a motion if somebody would like to.
What happens with the alternate member? Do they fill that, or do we fill that at one point?
Well, then we'll have to
Then we'll take a,
still
so,
cancel the alternate members to the front.
So accept resumes at this point.
for the alternate,
So we'd be seeking an alternate.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if if the board's inclined, I'd take a motion to appoint Angelo Sacramone as the full member.
So moved.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So now we'd be accepting applications at Town Hall again for the alternate member to replace Mr. Sacramone. And again, I'd appreciate you sending those to Bob Curtin, and we'll look at those in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, we'll have that on our agenda on the 7th. Next item, the PC amendment to the memorandum of agreement on employee health insurance. Jim?
Yeah, I talked to the board about this individually, probably in the summer, late in the spring, because we were working on this. I don't want to spend too much time boring everybody, but in a nutshell, when the town went to the GIC in 2011, and we re-upped in 2014, the PEC agreement with the employees specified that we would offer a PPO plan and an HMO plan. PPO being preferred rider option, HMO, everybody knows, health maintenance organization. With the latest changes by the GIC for the current fiscal year, the PPOs would change to a POS, which is a point of service plan. The big difference is in a POS, you must have a primary care physician, which is also one of the distinguishing characteristics of an HMO. Why is this important to us? Well, in the agreements that we have with the employees, on an HMO, the employees pay 15% of the cost of the HMO. In a PPO, they pay 25% of the cost of the PPO. They're significantly more expensive plans. So the employees started a discussion with us, with me as the representative of the town, that the POSs were more like an HMO, and therefore should be at a 15% rate rather than an HMO rate. I disagree with that, and we had several discussions on it. Rather than getting a long, lengthy battle with our unions about who was right and who was wrong, with the end result being significant potential cost to the town if the POSs were ruled as an HMO. What we came up with is, also in the current fiscal year, the co-pays are up significantly across these plans. So in order to help the employees with the transition, and this includes active and retired employees, we would set up a fund of about $25,000 that employees could apply for reimbursement for the difference in the co-pays from the last fiscal year to this fiscal year. They have to have their receipts, obviously, bring them in. There's a form that we've drafted, and they would fill it out, give it to the treasurer, and they'd be eligible for reimbursement from that fund. And those funds will remain until such time as the $25,000 is expended. Something I did in Norwell, I can tell you that the fund does not get spent that quickly. You'd be surprised. But this was a compromise really with the public employee committee to come to an agreement on what happened with the significant changes made by the GIC in this fiscal year. And that is one of the issues with the GIC is when they make their changes, they're not required to negotiate them with their employees. We still have some obligations to bargain to this stage.
Great. Now, Jim, on that, you get the $25,000, which, hopefully don't use up. If you do use it up, and once it's exhausted, there's no more reimbursements?
That's it.
Okay. All right.
I did notice that Diane Williams, president of the Public Safety and Dispatchers Association, she didn't sign?
She has
Well,
signed.
She has signed.
Since the time the package came.
Most of them were at the meeting when they voted. Backed out a couple of the other employees with us that meeting.
So everybody's happy with this agreement?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they agree to it?
They agree to it, yeah. I'm not sure anybody's happy when their insurance goes up the way it does. And the reimbursements are not all one-to-one. Particular tier 3 hospitalization went from $750 to $1,500 in a lot of cases. So if we reimburse the full differential, it'd be $750, but we're only reimbursing $250.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference, that particular line
Yeah.
was the major difference. How many people are on that program? Do we know?
In the PPO,
Yeah.
I'd say probably more than half. Would you mark with that?
So, yeah, so-
I'd say it's the majority of the employees in the PPO.
Oh, it is,
for
okay.
coverage, yeah.
So that alone's probably where we're seeing a big chunk of the savings.
POSs, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big chunk. And the
Right.
tier 3, you guys are familiar with tier 3, those are the Boston Teaching Hospitals, their affiliates are the most expensive. So the
Yep.
co-pays.
Yep.
Whereas you and Tom will write co-pays, deductibles are a driver of your premiums.
Mm-hmm.
So this would stay in place until the new insurance plan is negotiated?
This would be attached to the current 3-year agreement as an addendum to that, so it would stay in place for the life of the agreement, but it only is in effect until the money's gone.
No, I understand that 25,000 per year, but this life expectancy coincides with that
Right, the
GIC
we have a
contract.
3-year GIC contract, that's correct.
And when did we sign that?
You just signed it with 14, I believe, didn't you, Bob? That's right, yeah.
So it's 14, so it goes to 17? Okay, okay. Okay, I'll take a motion to accept the amendment to the memorandum of agreement on the PEC.
So moved?
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Jim, thank you for working on that.
Copies for the board signature. Well, we're signing gas like it's ready to open the board. It's approved this long ago. It's been signed off by the ABCC.
Coming July of 2015. That's gonna be nice.
Anything else, guys? No? That's all the signatures? Beautiful. Next item is the Discontinuation, the Peabody City Council has sent us a notice about the recessed public hearing on the discontinuance of Corporate Place. This does affect Linfield because that's a pass-through street from off, I believe it's Green, off of Route 1. And there's going to be a meeting held at the Frank Wigan Auditorium in City Hall at 24 Lowell Street in Peabody on Thursday evening, December 10th at 7:30. This has been continued a couple of times. Hopefully it stays on the schedule for this one. This will be an interesting meeting. I do plan to go and see what the plan is for the new development and the closing of that street. All right, so anybody like to attend, go to the City Hall Auditorium in Peabody at 7:30 on the 10th of December.
Just in case people are unaware, this is the property behind the Holiday Inn on Route 1, where everybody was concerned about the traffic flow going through the side streets and a potential new building being erected and situations such as that. So those that live in that area really should consider going to this meeting. I'll be attending along with Phil, and I'm sure Chris will be there as well. This is very important to everybody that lives in that area, so I would really recommend that you attend.
Thank you, Tom.
Is the goal to close Green Street?
It's not going to continue through anymore. It's going to close on the Peabody end. Yes, that's what they're talking about, and that we want to see what the plan is. Yeah. All right.
Do you have any other questions with that? We don't know exactly what they're gonna do. That's the whole purpose of going.
7:30, yeah.
We've expressed concerns to the Peabody Planning Department about any new buildings over there adding traffic to that street. So I think they are looking at some different means of access, but I was pretty blunt with the planner over there. I said the town's gonna be opposed if it's gonna put actually a lot more traffic on Green Street, period.
Right.
It's a dangerous in and out.
It is
You're
very.
correct, it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When I went to the first meeting that was supposed to be held a couple months ago, I found out when I got there that it had been continued for the next meeting, and they said there was a revised plan, so, of course, we haven't seen it yet. I hadn't seen the first plan yet, so we're still waiting to see what it's gonna look like. So hopefully, this will go through on that date. We'll be able to review what their plan is.
Was that the same developer that came to a planning board meeting here in Linfield?
I know, what was that the same? Because he
And
seemed pretty
he was very
standoffish
concerned
after.
about working with the public and working with
Yeah.
the town. I think we were both there, Chris, right?
Oh, yeah, he was very positive about working with us and shying away from making any significant changes.
Right, right. So hopefully that's the
Yeah.
same fellow and things will work out smoothly.
We have some town use of facilities applications. Let's see, the first one is for the Shabbat of the North Shore for a display of a menorah on the town common for the duration of Hanukkah. For a time frame, they want it from December 4th to the 15th. It's, we've had it at least the last year, maybe the last 2 years. We've had it up
Last
there.
year,
I have no issues here.
Nope.
Was Andrew signed off on this yet, do you know?
He is not, we sent it down, I haven't heard back, but this is an annual.
Right.
If you want to make it subject to any terms, the DPW would put on it.
Mhm.
Generally, we work very well with these people, in terms of they accommodate us, any request, yeah.
I know they put in the location that they approved
Mhm.
through the DPW and that's where they, so it's at least, wouldn't be anybody's way and probably wouldn't get damaged, so. So assuming that the DPW is okay and signs off on it, I'd look for a motion to approve.
So moved?
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is for the annual Rotary Turkey Trot. Going to be for November 22nd at 9:30. The route is exactly the same as used the past several years. It will begin at Market Street, through Walnut, Summer, Trickett, Atherton, through Westway, under Walnut again, back to Market Street. And Chief Breen has looked at the route, he's approved it. I'm assuming that it's going to be handled in the same manner it's in the past. They'd also like permission to hang a banner. Can we approve both at the same same time? Are all set? Okay. Announcing the race 2 weeks prior to the event. I see no problems here. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the third one is for a tree lighting ceremony on December 5th. The annual tree lighting and gingerbread house contest to be held on the Common from 3 to 6. And, let's see, presented by the Linfield Rec Commission. I don't see any other issues here. Again, it's got to be signed off by the DPW director, and I'm sure he'll have the right location to run the tree lighting ceremony. Do you know if the lights have been strung yet? I think I saw somebody up at the tree the other day.
It's
Yeah.
not in the best shape.
The tree's a little tough.
Before one, we're gonna have kind of a Charlie Brown
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah, they haven't worked on the lights.
For the new movie.
Yeah, as far as assuming the tree's still in good enough shape, and on the 5th, I'll take a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve this
Second.
great event.
Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
We have minutes from the October 19th meeting. I believe that's the meeting before the meeting. Any comments or questions on the minutes?
The only thing I didn't see, I thought that, you at that meeting, Pat, I thought you made some sort of a comment, and I didn't see anything in here.
This is the meeting before
Before
town
the-
meeting. I didn't
right.
go to
You
that,
didn't
but
go.
Yeah, I don't remember you being there.
Then-
Yeah.
at town meeting, I would be concerned that on the AstroTurf, Phil's answer to me was that it, that the funds for the, what is it? I forget what article it was. The funds, for the AstroTurf, you know, for the pot of money for the AstroTurf. I was concerned that if we discovered that AstroTurf was dangerous, that we could use the fund for regular
Real
grass.
Yeah, right, I remember you asking.
Your answer, yeah.
Yeah, but it had nothing to do with this meeting.
No.
No,
Yeah,
that
okay.
wasn't
Okay.
at that meeting, it was at town meeting.
Okay.
So I have no questions. I'd
All
make,
right. Take a motion to approve?
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 We now need to go into an executive session,
Very
a very brief executive session for the, it will compromise the town if we do it in a public format. I'd like to take a poll of the members to go into executive session. Tom?
I would, before that, I just need to make two quick comments. First, I want to congratulate the Linfield Youth Football C team for winning the Super Bowl this past Sunday. No one has done it for many years, so we're really proud of this group. I believe the last team that we had that won the Super Bowl was a C team, and it's this year's graduating football class. So we're really very proud
Yeah, congratulations.
of that group
job.
of young men and coaches.
Yep.
And secondly, I want to congratulate the Linfield High School girls volleyball team for making it to the finals, and good luck in the finals.
Good luck, girls. Absolutely.
Good job.
All right.
And we will not be returning to open session.
We'll be not returning to open session. Again, we're going to go to executive session. We're going to take a poll. Tom? Say aye.
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 Aye and aye. All right. It's unanimous. Go to executive session. Take a motion to finish open session.
So moved. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.